Robert Costa, Washington Post national political reporter, U.S. Congressman Ryan Costello, Republican from Pennsylvania, and U.S. Congresswoman Sherry Bustos, Democrat from Illinois. I want to start with you, Congresswoman, about this. I wanted to do it this way. I wanted to show McSally in the normal way you can see it, although that was very nice, even cute, sitting there with the dog. It was very nice. But, you know, when you lose, you lose. Numbers talk. Trump's out there saying, you know, stealing, fraud, these people are up to mischief. He's got his kowtowers like Lindsey Graham running along saying mischief. He's got people, everybody's saying this stuff. This is what they say in countries like Pakistan, where they hang the losers. In countries where they say every election you lose is rigged. Like in, Zimbabwe, every election's rigged if you lose it. This is the stuff we used to be proud of in this country, that we accept the integrity of our elections, especially when there's no evidence whatever, according to the Secretary of State down in Florida, of any misbehavior, of any irregularities. And the president's out there trumpeting these lies. Your thoughts?
Well, you nailed it, Chris. But let's look at what's going on right now. We've got the servicemen and women who have voted, who have sent in their ballots. And President Trump is saying, we've got to put this to a stop right now. Let's not count any more ballots. I mean, what does that say? We're, one day past Veterans Day. What does that say about these men and women in uniform who've gone through the effort to vote? And he's saying, let's stop this now. You know, President Trump used the word disgraceful. He is acting in a disgraceful manner to say anything other than that we should get to the truth. We should get to the count every last ballot. We should make sure that we restore the integrity in this process rather than interfering with the process. And that's exactly what he's doing right now.
You're right. The service people's votes aren't even due in until later this week. But is he afraid of losing this election for the governorship or the Senate down there, or is he afraid of losing the next election? And that's why he's yelling out fraud and fraud. He's probably going to win these two. They've got the advantage down there. So why is he saying this unless he's trying to do what he said he told Leslie Stahl he was going to do? Discredit any obstacle to his ability to do whatever he wants, say whatever he wants. So when he does have a crisis, for example, in 2020, he can cry fraud then, and his troops will come out and say, yes, 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 sir, that's true. They stole it again.
Well, he's a master distractor. I mean, everybody knows that. But, you know, look what he's doing to the press. For how long has he been talking about the press is the enemy of the people? Chris, you and I have talked about this before. I'm a former reporter. That's what I did for a living for almost 2 decades. And I can tell you that we went into the newsroom every single day, just as you do, to get to the truth. And if we need to expose corruption, we expose corruption. If we need to talk about families that are doing great things, then we'll talk about families that are doing great things. But Donald Trump to call the press the enemy of the people, to interfere with the election process, to try to undermine Americans' faith in the electoral system, that is what is disgraceful. And we need to, you brought up 2020. It is imperative that we do everything we can to be successful in 2020. We just had a very good election cycle. It looks like in the House we could pick up as many as 39 seats. We still have some that are in play, which is a very strong number. We won in districts where we didn't think we were going to even have a shot. And now, I'm running for chair of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, and should I be successful in that, I want to make sure that we hang on to these tough districts and these ones that we barely lost, places like Central Illinois, where Betsy Dirksen Lonergan only lost by a very slight margin, that we get these people to run great campaigns again, and we're successful in 2020.
Hold on there, Congressman. Let's go to Robert Costa.
Sure.
You know Donald Trump. Is he angry, or is he angry for the next election? Why is he going around saying things about the Florida race? Both his candidates down there for governor and Senate are ahead. There's no real evidence that they're not going to win. Why is he out there trashing the system in the recount?
Talking to White House officials and confidants of the president, they say he's a man alone after the midterm elections, preparing to make changes in his cabinet, looking possibly at making a change at chief of staff. It's him, his Twitter, his own instincts.
Why is he so ticked off?
He's ticked off because he lost power. You know that as well as anyone. He lost the House. Does
he felt that he had a rejection for the American people when the popular vote and the nationwide congressional account went against him?
He also feels vulnerable with the Mueller investigation, not knowing what's going to be in that report that's coming out perhaps in a few weeks.
Congressman?
I think, number one,
why is he acting this way?
He likes to be bad cop. And we've all gone through election litigation, and when you're the elected official, you don't play bad cop. That's for the lawyers to do. Number two, he doesn't like process. And when he sees two people battling and he sees a stalemate, or he doesn't see something having ended when he wants it to end, he likes to insert himself, and he just starts swinging at people. That's what he's done.
Why does he assume that, or say that nothing is on the level? I mean, there's nothing that he said. The FBI isn't on the level. The Justice Department is not on the level. The press is not on the level. The Florida election machinery isn't on the level. Everybody's a cheat, the way he looks at it. Is he projecting?
That's how he fights.
It's grievance populism. It's the same thing he talked about in 2016, calling everything rigged. That's the way he processes national politics.
Does he know he's these institutions?
Does he know he's tearing it down? He shatters norms for a living.
I'm not sure.
What do you mean by that?
All he does is take a hammer to presidential norms. He's been doing it since he was elected, and no one around him believes they can control him on that front.
But when FBI agents, men or women, whatever their politics, when they go to vote, they go out and they have to risk their lives. Doesn't he know that they have to have integrity, they have to be seen as people of integrity who represent the government and not as, crooks?
This is a president who
have stench, as you put it.
Well, this is a president who embraced Chris Kobach in Kansas, who lost the gubernatorial race, and despite really no evidence that there's rampant voter fraud across the country, he's going behind candidates that say there is.
Okay, here he is with the real third world stuff. Speaking of it, it's not the first time Trump has questioned the legitimacy of our elections. Months before the presidential election in 2016, when he thought he was going to lose, he began claiming the election was rigged. Let's watch that.
And I'm afraid the election's going to be rigged, I have to be honest. We have to make sure that you don't have people voting 10 times.
I hope it's going to be a very fair election. I don't know that it will be. I hope it's going to be.
We're in a rigged system, folks. We're in a rigged system. The only way we can unrig it is get to the polls. But we got to make sure they're honest polls. We got to make sure. I will totally accept the results of this great and historic presidential election if I win.
You know, Congresswoman, that is the idiotic, third world, asinine view of every clown and tin pot dictator in the third world. If they win the election, it was clean. If they lose, it was rigged. You see it all the time in countries like Zimbabwe. I don't want to single out that, but that's a classic example. You lose, it was rigged. I see that in Pakistan and countries like that. They don't have trust in their institutions. And this is a one-man wrecking ball going around the country telling 40% of the country who believes in this guy, the lemmings of the Republican Party, don't trust votes. Don't trust press. Don't trust FBI. Don't trust Justice Department. That's what he's saying. Don't trust anybody but me because I'm your leader.
Yeah. Chris, I just wish you would tell it like it is. I'm concerned about your candor here.
No.
Hey, look, we're going to be sworn in the majority on January 3rd. One of the first things we're going to do is address the fact that we've got a problem with making sure that we invest in that our polling places are safe, that we take a look at the money in politics, that we've got a whole reform package to make sure that things are working in Washington the way they should work. And so, we're ready to go on day one, not just with that, but also not to bring in another topic, but we've got to address rebuilding our country again. One of our competitive advantages we've always had as Americans is we've been able to move our goods to market better than any other country. So we're going to have a $1 trillion rebuilding America package, and we're going to bring down the costs of prescription drugs and health care. So those are our three top priorities, including restoring faith in democracy because of what the president has done over these last